Welcome. My name is John Flett. I help all age of kids, right from preschool right through to young adults, and teachers and their parents, those children that think and learn differently. ADHD medication is incredibly successful and effective, but in order for it to work, you've got to take the medication. You've got to take it at the right time. You've got to kind of take it every day. But the medicine does come with some complications of compliance, taking the medication. And also you've got to have your child that's got to want to take the medicine, because the older they get, remember, you can't force them. So I'd like to share with you some strategies. You know, how important it is to kind of explain to your child and also help them understand, and also yourself understand, why they don't want to take their medication. So in a way, you know, before you introduce discipline and react, ask your child why they don't want to take their medicine. It's such a simple thing, because sometimes it might be something simple, like I don't like the taste of the medicine. It makes me feel funny in my mouth. There are ways that we can get around that. It might have nothing to do with the side effect of the medication. I don't like taking medicine. You know, I spoke to a father who was recently diagnosed with ADHD. Now, to go through that process of discovering that you have ADHD, and then to think that, you know, you found that sort of kind of the pot at the end of the rainbow, that solution to your life. You know, medicine is not the only solution. It's only one of the strategies of helping anybody with ADHD. Medication can cause some side effects. So for a lot of adults that are diagnosed, at the point in your life when you've been diagnosed, there may be a lot of other associated problems, so-called comorbidities. You may have anxiety. You may have OCD. You might have mood problems. You might have addiction problems. You might have eating issues, you know, binge eating issues. You might have sleeping problems. So there are lots of other strategies that are important. And, you know, the medication for ADHD, I like to think about treating ADHD very simply. You've got two major kind of pedals in your brain. You've got an accelerator and you've got a brake. And the two have to be in sync. So ADHD medicine can be effective, but if you've got other problems like anxiety, depression, mood problems, it can sometimes make it a lot worse. And it might not be the right medicine for you straight up. So there's lots of confusion. You've got to find somebody who understands holistically everything. And I find that's the biggest, I think, failure of a lot of doctors and success of ADHD medicine is people don't want to take it because it doesn't make them feel good, because the fundamental understanding has not been explained and understood either by the doctor or the person taking the medicine. So ask your child, you know, a child with ADHD cannot be expected to remember to take their medicine. A lot of parents say, you know, you're at high school, you need to stand on your own 2 feet. I can't chase around you forever. You've got to learn to do those things. That's great, but you've got to put those checks in place. Remember, a child with ADHD is behaving like someone who's a lot younger. They're not going to be reliable. I've seen children who've flicked their ADHD medicine outside and given it to their dog, the Jack Russell. In some suburbs, there's some dogs that are a lot calmer. You know, I mean, if you think of species of dog, you've got Jack Russells who are hyperactive, and you've got the Labradors that are lying in the sun in a coma who are the inattentive type. So, you know, kids can get rid of the medicine, they spit it, these expensive medicines. You know, look at the back of your seat in your car. Don't just hand that medicine. Make sure you can see your child actually swallow the medicine. You know, ADHD kids do not have that ability to self-regulate themselves. Younger children who don't want to take their medicines, the medicine might not make them feel good. It might make them feel unwell, jittery. They can't explain that to you. It might cause a problem with tummy ache. You might construe it and misinterpret it as a problem at school. The child might be a bit anxious, look for changes, sudden changes. They might just say, I don't like the taste. Those are things that you can take the tablet out, you can take powder versions. If they're taking capsules like Concerta, swap it to long-acting Ritalin where you can take the powder out. Mother said to me the other day, she puts it into like a Nutella sandwich or in a cracker. And the child doesn't even know they're taking it. She was very kind of innovative and even had made some little chocolates with medicine inside. I thought it was very, very innovative. Some children have sensory problems, texture problems, smell problems. They don't like to swallow. So those are things that can be overcome. You know, tabs versus capsules. Parents might not see the side effects of the medicine while the child's at school and assume that there are no side effects. But there might be issues at school, so ask and quiz and get information back from the teacher. You know, what are some of the reasons that, for taking medicine that can be overcome? You know, crushing, as I said, making sure that you get the right medicine, the right dose. That's key. You've got to start low and go slow. Some children are put on too high a medicine. Just because an adult has started on medicine, sometimes doctors start at quite a high level. And you've got to start with a very small dose. It's not related to the weight or how busy someone is. There's misinterpretation. Some parents think, well, I've got such a fast metabolism. I'm bound to be needing, say, more medication, or I'm very sensitive. It doesn't work. This medication is unique and different. So, some medicines might cause anxiety, overthinking, motor tics, repetitive behaviors like skin picking. There's a condition called body-focused repetitive behavior, where a child pulls their hair, twists their ears, scratches, bites their nails. Those are things you've got to just think about, because that can exacerbate those problems. Now, adolescence, I must just, this is like a little bit of a sidebar. You've got to talk about teens and ADHD medications. Since non-medical use of medications or abuse of Ritalin has become an increased problem in young adults, most parents think that, it would be quite easy to get their kids to take a prescribed medicine. Unfortunately, compliance with taking ADHD medication becomes a problem in teenagers. They want autonomy, they want self-control, and it's their way of kind of putting and separating themselves from you as parents, because ultimately they've got to leave home. And if they don't show that separation and independence, well, they'll stay at home forever. So you've got to think about, and it very much, I find during adolescence, some medications can cause a kind of a social blunting, kind of a distancing, almost as though the color's gone out your life, your life is no longer that 5K, 4K television, is that 640 by 480 PAL television. It's just, I don't feel blah, that joie de vie is gone. So we've got to change the medicine maybe. Those are things you've got to think about. A trial of medication isn't always a good option. And you might want to improve your teens' compliance and understanding by getting them involved in the decision, helping them understand. That's what I try and do, help teens understand what is ADHD. Make sure that they understand that you can't just crush the medicine. I mean, if you take something like Concerta and cut it in half, you're going to release an enormous amount of medicine. It's not designed that way. You can have huge side effects. It's going to be taken correctly. This is why it's important that you get the right instruction and make sure that you get the right medication for your child. You've also got to make sure that your child takes maybe the other medication, such as depressive medicine, anti-anxiety medicine, medicine for behavior. Adjusting a teen's medicine or changing the medication if the side effects are a problem. I often say to a child, there's no way we can expect you to take a medication that makes you feel unwell. I mean, think about it as an adult. That's one of the biggest problems of adults stopping medication. Consider allowing your teen to maybe take a bit of a break. I often ask, kids to sort of maybe if they don't take their medicine, see how they feel. I often find consistent use of medication reduces side effects. By taking it the weekends, for example. Some kids, the medicine interferes with their sport, so you've got to adjust the medicine, takes away the energy. They don't have quite that same kind of interactive energy when they play certain sports like rugby. Might be okay for hockey and cricket. So behavior therapy is important, to help them understand and help relationships. But, I think that a couple of comments I find kids tell me, I don't feel fun on the medicine, I don't get humour, I don't have the energy to do my sport. If I take my medication at school, I get teased, I don't want to have it dished out, stigma. So if you can get away with a long-acting medicine without it having to be given at school, makes such a difference. Then, of course, adults being diagnosed with ADHD. It's one thing being diagnosed, but it's another thing tolerating and getting the right treatment. Some adults feel like robots. They feel more anxious because there are often lots of other problems. You've had a lot more life and living, and there are lots of other collateral issues that you've developed. You maybe need to involve your spouse, your partner. It's amazing how if you collaborate, reach out, these things can often be solved. So don't just necessarily have a shouting match about your child who doesn't want to take their medicine. Think about some of these factors.